What's up everybody, and welcome back to the bus build. This is, as you can see, we've gotten a bit of work done on this build, but today we're going to talk about a very specific topic around building a van or a bus that you're going to want to consider. When you start your bus or van or any other type of project, you're probably only thinking about the construction side of things, the building side of things. But there's actually a lot of external factors that are going to greatly affect your build and greatly affect your attitude during the build that you really want to consider. So in this video, I'm going to give you the top 5 things that you need to consider before you get into your build and things that are going to affect you. So if you're new around here, my name is Michael and welcome to Navigation Nowhere, a place on the internet where you're going to get the best tips and tricks about living on the road and how to get from point A to point B and have the most fun doing it. Let's get into it. So the first external factor that you're going to want to consider even before you start your van or bus build is going to be your building location. Now the reason why your building location is going to be such an important factor is because you may just be considering, how am I even going to build this thing? Do I even have all the skills to build this thing? But you're not considering how far away is the hardware store? How far away is the industrial park that you're going to need to get supplies at? What is your building location even look like? Do you even have room to spread out and actually build? Now, I am fortunate enough at the moment to be on someone's property building this school bus on a farm. So I have tons of space to spread out and build, and it is phenomenal. It is a great thing to have space where you can actually spread out and build. But the negative thing is that I'm about 20 minutes outside of a small town with a hardware store, and I'm about an hour away from a major city where I can actually get some of the larger parts I need for this bus. So this is not necessarily the perfect location. It has positive factors such as the space, but it also has negative factors such as where the hardware store is. So when you're looking to go and buy a bus or a van to build out, you're going to want to consider where you're building, because it is going to greatly affect your efficiency while building, your timeline while building, and also a lot of frustration, because no one wants to drive an hour back and forth to the store every time you forget or a nut or a bolt. It's going to be very difficult if you get back to your build, you forget one thing, and you have to drive all the way back just to get that one part to continue the project. Now I know that your building location is not necessarily under your control. You might be building at friends or family's places, you might be building at your own place currently, or you might be building at some place you rented. Now those places might be in a rural or suburban area. If you're building in a suburban area, you're probably going to have less room to build, but you're also going to be closer to products and stores that you're going to need. Now, if you're building in a rural area, you probably will have a lot more room to build, but you're going to be farther away from parts and supplies. So you're just going to want to consider these things when you're going into your build and how they're going to affect your timeline, the amount of times you're going to drive back and forth, and the cost of gas maybe to even get to the store. So the second key factor that you are seriously going to want to consider is going to be time of year. Now the reason why the time of year is going to affect you so greatly is because as you build, you're going to be going through different weather patterns, and you're also going to be going through different seasons of the year. And these seasons and weather patterns are going to greatly affect your build, because they're going to affect what you can do at what time of the year. For instance, if you are starting your build in the fall and you plan on waterproofing it through the winter, unless you're in an indoor facility, you're going to have a lot of trouble doing that. Most caulks, spray foams, and paints are not going to cure at very low temperatures. So if you're building somewhere where it gets below 50 degrees in the winter, well, the metal is not going to do well with those products, and you're going to have to wait for warmer weather or find an indoor facility. So likewise, you also are going to want to consider what the summer is going to be like. Now, if you're in a very hot environment, that metal or vehicle is going to heat up, which means you could have maybe an outdoor temperature of maybe 80 or 90 degrees, but your metal might be well over 100 degrees. And at that point, paints, caulks, and spray foams also won't work. So you're gonna have to find a way to either do it late in the day, early in the morning, or simply just wait for a cooler day to build. Now this is something you seriously want to consider, because this is also going to affect your time. How long is it going to take for you to build? How are these factors going to affect your build time, your schedule, and what you're planning on doing? For example, currently I am building up in Canada, and we're going through a bit of a rainy season even though it's sunny outside right now. It has been raining and been very muddy the last couple days. And that has greatly affected this build, because as you can see, I still don't have a few windows in the back right there. Now, because I can't get those windows in because I need cure time for the caulk, it's not giving me the ability to waterproof this bus properly and in the time frame that I want to. So you really want to consider these weather factors and how they're going to affect your build. Best thing you could possibly do to avoid this factor is going to be building in an indoor facility. Now I know many of us aren't going to have that advantage, but if you're able to find a friend, a family, or even rent a space that's indoor, you're going to eliminate the time factor and the weather factor completely, because you're going to be able to have climate control and you're going to be able to build year round. A third thing that is going to greatly affect you outside of your build is going to be supplies. Now during your van or bus build, you're going to be collecting a lot of wood, a lot of metal, maybe a lot of reclaimed materials. And the thing is you're not going to want to store them inside the vehicle while you're building. You're going to want to store them in a safe place where you can keep them good until you're ready to actually use them. Now, when you're building, you may be thinking, oh, I'm just gonna use my parents' driveway, or I'm just gonna be using my friend's farm. But do they have a shed? Do they have a garage? Are you gonna have to go buy a tent? Where are you gonna store these precious supplies that you've put so much work into collecting, or maybe spent a lot of money on buying, to keep them safe in the environment and outside your build site? So if you're looking for a build location or you currently have one, start considering where you're going to start storing these supplies. Maybe you have to clear a space out of your garage. Maybe you have to go rent a storage unit. Maybe you have to go buy a tent. Just remember that when you put all this money and effort into buying and collecting these supplies, the last thing you want to do is have to step over them during your build or leave them out to the elements and let them get destroyed. Because once they're destroyed, you're not going to be able to use them and you're going to have to go back to square one with either finding supplies or spending a lot of money buying them. So having a proper storage space for your supplies is going to be essential. So the fourth thing that's going to greatly affect your build is going to be ordering supplies through the internet. Now, I know we live in a day and age where we have Amazon Prime and 2-day, 1-day shipping, and that's an option, and that really can help out and is a great asset to us building school buses or vans in remote locations or even just last-minute supplies. But you're really going to want to consider the order of these supplies, because like we were just talking about in the previous tip, storing these supplies is going to be a huge factor. So while you're gutting your school bus, you may be thinking about your layout and floor plan and what you're going to put and what appliances you're going to need to buy. You really want to consider the time that you want to order these supplies, because there's no point in ordering a fridge or an oven that's just going to sit around and get damaged when you don't actually need it for possibly a few months. So really consider and plan out your build as best you possibly can on what supplies you're going to need first and what you're going to need later, so that you can get them ordered in the proper way. You'd rather it sit in a warehouse where then it's not your responsibility and it's not your problem if it gets damaged, than have it sit in your property or in your garage where you have to consistently worry about it. So seriously consider the time frame of ordering supplies and when you'll need certain things, so that one, it doesn't hold up your build, but two, then you don't have to worry about the supplies while you're building. So the last external factor that is going to severely affect your build, and I really want you to consider, is going to be your expectations for this build. I'm sure you've seen lots of videos and pictures online of different people's builds and what they've done. A lot of times when you go into these builds, we all have crazy ideas of what we're gonna do, but we may not necessarily have the skills or know someone who has the skills. So the thing I just want to bring to your attention is you're gonna need to learn these skills, and you're gonna need to go through a lot of perseverance. You're gonna have to go through a lot of trying and asking for help to learn how to do these things to achieve your goals. It is totally possible, it's just gonna take a lot of perseverance. So I really just want to encourage you to consider before you start your build the skills that you have, the skills that you're gonna need to learn, and maybe the skills or finances that you're gonna need to build to pay someone to help you do it. So start drawing up the craziest ideas you have, and start figuring out also what skills you're gonna need to learn to be able to achieve these goals and to be able to achieve what you're dreaming up of your build. So this video has been a quick 5 tips on the external factors that are going to affect your build. I hope they were helpful and got you thinking down the right line so that you can make your build the most fun and pleasant experience and not have these external factors affect your build, attitude, or productivity. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you have any tips or tricks for anyone currently building or going to be building, leave them in the comments below for people to see. If you're also interested in this type of content, consider subscribing. So once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.